going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Yes, tonight we are bringing. This is a pre-tape. We had some scheduling conflicts. This time is not Robert's fault. Yes, this time is not Robert's fault.
Andy had some scheduling conflicts. I was fine.
Yes, fine. I had some scheduling conflicts, but my conflict is that I'm going out to do my civic duty and voting. Not in like the primary that we I already did that, but I'll be voting on the what is it that measure for keeping Koreatown together. So. That's why so it is my conflict. Yes, I had a scheduling conflict, but for good reasons. It's not it's not for selfish things.
Well, I guess we'll keep you on for another week, Andy.
Funny guy. Anyways, with me, as always, co-hosting this thing is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody?
God, you're such a lush, dude. Is there ever a time where there's not a bottle in your hand?
That's true. It's if this was the only thing that people watch of us and like they were binge watching this, like they would think I'm probably like an alcoholic or something. But
I know, man.
The reality is like it's a rare day off for me, so it's like one of the few times I actually get to drink.
It's like you earned this.
Yeah. If you know what I had to go through during the week. I've earned this.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, let's get this conversation started. So, Rob, how was your weekend?
Weekend was pretty good, actually. It was Father's Day. I didn't get to do everything that I wanted to do for Father's Day. So my family and I were doing, we're kind of splitting it up this week. Last week we had dinner together, grilled some steaks, so that was good. Oh, they were perfection. Mm-hmm. These nice. Giant T-bones, medium rare. So it doesn't get any better than that. And then the second half of that is going to be go-karting. That's something that my dad and I enjoy quite a bit. So we're going to do that this weekend. Other than that, mainly did just some church stuff. And, from last week, it was just all the, wrapping up the E3, which is the trade show for gaming, and got to hear all the news and stuff that was coming out. And I already have my list for what I'm looking forward to that I'm probably going to be buying. Namely the new Assassin's Creed game is coming out. Really excited for that.
Oh yeah, I think I saw an advert for that. What is it? Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, and
probably taking place in ancient Greece.
Yep, and your character is a Spartan, so that's really awesome.
Oh, nice.
There's that. Kingdom Hearts 3 finally got a hard release date at the end of next January. Mm-hmm. And what was the other one that I'm really excited? Oh, and Dragon Quest XI is coming out at the end of September, so I'm going to probably pick up the collector's editions of both that and Assassin's Creed. So really excited for that.
Mm.
So for all the gamers out there that watch Up by Up Down or like games, it was a fun time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty chill weekend also. What is it? Yeah, I mean, Saturday, didn't really do anything. Father's Day, yes. I think you'll be really happy because I think I broke my dad's conditioning, and now he actually enjoys medium cooked steaks.
Oh, he went down to medium?
Yeah.
Well, I know it took him a he finally figured out that you want the fat in the steak for flavor, so that's
Right?
good.
I know.
The marbling, but you got him down to medium. That's passable. That's like a C plus.
Like it's medium rare or nothing for you, right?
There's it depends on the cut. Like some cuts are better rare,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some cuts that are better medium rare.
True. Yeah. Yeah, because he definitely changed since the last time I made steaks. Because one, like he got like tri-tip, like for my birthday, I wanted a ribeye, and then my mom and my sisters they all want a ribeye too, but my dad's like was like, oh, that's dumb. You're just getting there's like so much fat on it. You're like barely getting any meat. I know you're like so pissed off right now. But remember, there's a happy ending. There's a happy ending because like he had some of it, he took a bite of his and was like, yeah, this is good, and then he had a bite of mine and was like, oh man, this is so much better than mine. I was like, yeah, because that's the fat. And so, we got tri-tip again, but I cooked it, medium. Well, for mine it was medium rare, and so, and then he's like, while I was cooking the steaks, he was like, "Oh, could you make mine the way like you make yours?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay," and so I gave him a medium. Well, cause I didn't think he was ready for medium rare, so I gave him a medium steak, and he enjoyed it.
Yeah, tri-tip's hard to mess up. See, that's one of those cuts that I think is better rare than even like medium rare or medium, just because that's one of those cuts that's really hard to mess up. Or, I mean, it's really easy to mess up.
Yeah, because it was like tricky, especially like the triangular cuts. It's like you have to get each side and like constantly rotate. And so so you're definitely there's this added element of error when cooking tri-tip.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I'm glad your dad's coming around because I just even like hearing it now, like I'm not there. I just
and he liked it well, and I was like, oh god, kill me now.
Essentially, for people that want well done steak, just buy a steak, throw it in the trash because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm totally with you. It's me you're talking to. So.
Yeah, I have. When it comes to meat, like it's steaks, like different cuts of steak, I'm very yeah. You can't mess around with that stuff. You got to have it done right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the next time I have steak. Well, like when I prepare steak, because I'm gonna try the reverse sear method.
Ooh.
So yeah, looking forward to that.
Let me know how that goes, because I'm curious to see how that'll work.
Will do. All right. Well, so let's with all that out of the way, I guess we could jump into the first of our prepared topics. And
well, let's see. Should we go with something fun, or should we go with something more serious from our topics, Sandy?
Well, let's not try to bum out everyone in like the first 30 minutes. So let's start off with something up. Because then it could also lead into never mind. Let's just go. So yes, we are going to be discussing / reviewing the movie Chinatown.
Movie of the week.
Yes, movie of the week. It was made back in 1976, 77, 74. Wow. Okay. I thought it was closer to I thought it was like later 70s.
I think when I was doing my my notes that it came out. It was released on June 20th, 1974.
Oh, okay. Yes, and it stars Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. Um, any other big names in that one?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them big stars, but for anyone that's a movie fan would recognize them. One of the side characters that was one of Jack Nicholson's clients in the movie was Mickey from Rocky.
Oh yeah, Meredith Burgess.
No. Oh wait, no, not Mickey. No, I'm sorry, wrong character. What's his face?
Was it Paulie?
The guy,
The actor that played Paulie?
Yeah, not Mickey, Paulie.
Okay.
My bad.
He was? And was he like in the beginning?
Curly was Paulie. That's the same guy.
Oh, okay.
And he also played a kind of a fat, drunken slob.
Yeah. So sad. He got typecast right away.
He plays the part so damn well.
I know. If he didn't play it so damn well.
He's that prototypical like drunken slob wife beater that like you just.
Yeah, that's about right. But
and then James Hong, that was played Faye Dunaway's butler,
right.
The Chinese guy. He's been a voice actor, and he's been in so many, a character actor in so many different like TV shows and movies.
Yeah, like Big Trouble in Little China. He was the voice of the dad in Kung Fu Panda. Balls of Fury.
Yeah, he's been all over the place.
Yeah, I mean he's done some like voice work for like the Star Wars animated stuff. So yeah, very like prolific career for James.
He's almost 90 years old.
Yeah, he's 90 years old.
He's gonna be 90.
Oh wow. Yeah, but I think he's had a prolific career in Hollywood. Even though like he's not like he doesn't get like the star. He's not considered an A-lister or whatever. But he's been working forever. He's definitely one of he's like the working stiff of Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean he's been acting since 1954 or so. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah. So why don't you give the people a quick rundown on Chinatown?
So the movie Chinatown, I think, is set in turn of the century Los Angeles. It seemed like it. I don't know if it was like. I want to say it was set in like it's somewhere between the 20s and 40s. It doesn't give an actual like set hard date.
Right.
But based off of the architecture, the cars that they used, and some of the terminology, I would say is it's definitely somewhere between the 20s and 40s. Probably closer to the 20s than the 40s. And
so it could have been like kind of like mid to late 30s even.
Probably. I don't know if it was set in the Depression, but it's
no.
So it was probably just before the Depression. So I mean, probably about late 20s before the Depression. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
And so our main character, played by Jack Nicholson, his name is J.J. Geddes, and he's a private investigator, kind of like when we were watching The Maltese Falcon, another one of those noir type of films.
Right. It was Chinatown is kind of like in like that noir kind of vein.
Yeah, it's one of those like tough guy whodunit films.
Yeah. And like kind of like in the same spirit of Humphrey Bogart, he plays like this kind of morally dubious characters. But deep down he's a decent guy.
Yeah, like he kind of has that like I'm only out for myself and what I can get out of it. Yet at the same time he does have a heart and character.
Right.
and you you kind of get this right away where towards the pretty much right in the beginning of the film, he gets hired by sorry, let me, I have like my notes here, so I'm like kind of going through here. So let's see. Oh, that's right. There's a lady that goes by the name of was it Evelyn Mulray?
Yeah.
She hires uh, uh, Geddes to. He's kind of one of those private investigators that's like catching the cheating spouse, and
Right. That's what that's his bread and butter.
Yeah, and it's kind of starts off like that. That's pretty much like what it is. So he goes and he tails this lady's husband, who's named Hollis Mulray. And he's kind of a bigwig in the water department.
Yeah, the city government.
Yeah, and he tails him around, and he's doing some kind of like weird stuff where he's going out to these aqueducts and to the LA River and doing. He looks like he's almost doing some investigating of his own. And eventually, they find him with a woman out in on one of the rowboats in Echo Park, which you don't really see too many people doing nowadays.
Right. Yeah.
Show you
how times have changed.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's Geddes and one of his associates. They go out and they snap some pictures of him and this woman, and they kind of sneak it out to the papers that like, oh, this guy, he's a bigwig, he's cheating on his wife. And as he's coming back to his office, after that article came out, there's a lady that's in his office, and that we haven't seen before, and she's like, "Do you know who I am?" And it turns out that she's actually the real Mrs. Mulray. The person that had come before was a fake. Yeah, that was like, whoa. That was so right away you're getting like this twist in the story, and because of that, Geddes feels like I got played, and so now he's like he wants to find out what the hell is really going on, and it kind of turns into this murder mystery, kind of like figuring out like and he's uncovers this corruption within the water department, and there's a lot of people involved that are essentially like hurting people so that they can become rich and own their. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not just a murder, but it's like it's a cover up for this corruption that's going on.
Right. Yeah, and I believe like I think the B plot about like the water and like the drought and the aqueducts, they took that from actual history that happened within Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was trying to not give too much away, but that's essentially like it's based off of, I think, real events that happened.
Yeah. Not that this movie is depicting like what happened, like or what what the events those things were about, but that they use it kind of as like as set dressing. It's like, oh, this is like, or this is like the kind of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that connects to the A story of of Geddes and his like trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those like great murder mystery. Trying to figure out like who's involved with who did what,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, I really like these type of stories
Mhm.
just because you get like a complicated character like Geddes where initially it's all out for himself, but he gets so but he cares about his job, and he cares about like what's happening to people where he's putting himself in danger to figure out what's really going on because it affects so many.
Right. And it was interesting because the only reason why he even decided to investigate was more about his professional reputation. Because
That's true.
so initially it was about like himself, and the reason why he was trying to find out like what was really going on was because his professional reputation was being affected, and so but as he goes along, as he starts collecting the clues, everything is like I think for the character, like, everything is like blurred. But as soon as but once he starts getting like these different pieces of the puzzle, things will start focusing, and then he's able to put it all together.
Yeah, and he realizes that there's so many more people affected, and he actually does care because the guy is shot at so many times and beat up so many times that
Right.
if he was only out for himself, like I'd be like, you know what? I think I like myself too much. I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like he takes major beatings, and like he like his life is literally threatened by that little tiny gangster who, fun fact, is actually Roman
Roman
Polanski.
Polanski.
Yeah, a little cameo. He was like he was doing it before M Night Shyamalan did it.
He was well. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock was very famous for doing starting out doing that. So he might have. He's probably
Wait, but Hitchcock was more. He never did like in front of camera kind of cameos. He was more. You need to do more like background characters.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
But it all comes from that inspiration. It's like maybe he wanted to like put his own twist on it and actually act in front of the camera.
Maybe, or that the union stuff, and like there weren't enough people, or he wanted more people, but he couldn't afford it, and so he just decides to put himself in.
That could be too.
Yeah, but so yeah, so I mean, was there more stuff that you wanted to explain, or?
Because I don't want to spoil the movie too much. I mean, yeah, it's from 1974.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those movies that I came into this not really knowing anything about the film. I mean, there's always the references to some of the lines from the movie from other shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't know anything going into this film. I had no idea like what type of style it was, what it was going to be, and but I was really surprised at how really great it was. I like I said, I love those mystery tough guy type of films,
Mm-hmm.
and so it really fits into my my genre.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely encourage people to give it a go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It kind of.
What was that?
Well, I was gonna say it. Well, there was a game that came about. There was a game that came out about, I guess, about 10 years ago now, called L.A. Noire. And,
oh yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, and it's kind of this movie kind of like brought me back into like that into that game where it was it kind of that early early era Los Angeles with you're solving crimes and figuring out who's behind what, and there's a bigger corruption at hand, and so it kind of brought me back to that game, which I really love. And yeah, I encourage everyone to go watch it. No matter what you think about alleged child rapist Roman Polanski.
Yes.
He did make a fucking fantastic movie. I'll give him that.
Well, I guess my only real question to you is: do you think that Chinatown was better than Godfather?
Oh man, that's I don't know if I would go. I don't know if I could go that. That's right. That was that we had talked about that.
Yeah, because I initially heard this assertion from Steven Crowder, and then so that's what kind of piqued my interest because like if you're a guy you freaking love The Godfather, you know.
Oh
Take it to the
man.
mattresses, take like leave the gun, take it to cannoli. It's just like it's
I don't know if the two movies are really comparable per se because well, for one, The Godfather is really great because you have this star-studded cast of actors. Like they're all like really really strong acting. But one knock I would have to say about The Godfather, it's a little slow-paced. It's a long movie.
Right. It's more of a slower burn.
Yeah, this one is you're moving constantly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, because you're also moving because the character, Geddes, like he's like moving around, like investigating. So you feel like you are moving, with you're a part of that, and so you feel the movement in the movie.
Yeah, and I think not only does it a little bit more, it's much faster paced, but it's not like leaving you behind in that fast pace either. I would say this movie is a little bit more humorous. I found there was a couple of laugh out loud moments for me.
Oh, like at the old folks home.
Yeah, because I always love those just the smart ass characters. Mm-hmm. So Jack Nicholson as his portrayal of J.J. Geddes was just it was funny to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The thing is, I don't know yet. I had to like watch them again, both of them again, at the kind of like back to back. But it's definitely on par. I'll give it that. It's up there. It's a great movie. It's one of the. Yeah, I don't know if I can say it's better than The Godfather just yet, but we might have to talk about that. We'll come back to that in a few weeks. I had to give it more thought because I just watched this.
Yeah, you have to sit in it a little bit and then really kind of take it in. And also, you might have to watch Godfather again. I'm
gonna have to go back to The Godfather again because. Because I watched Chinatown twice. Because I watched it last night and I watched it again this morning before the pre-tape. But I want to go back to The Godfather, rewatch that again, and kind of stew in that thought. Because I think that's an important. I don't want to knock Steven Crowder for that because he's on to something. I think it's. But I will say, but he's right. This is a fucking fantastic movie.
Agreed.
And everyone should watch it. Who cares that it was 1974? I mean, it's a beautiful shot movie.
Yeah.
And
just like we were talking about before we started recording. The photo geek in me definitely appreciated this movie. Just on the technical aspect because it's so well shot. Every shot is perfectly exposed, and if you put it up to the HD stuff that's coming out now, it's it still holds up.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is the language isn't too crazy either, where you have to go through a pop culture dictionary to try to figure out
right, they don't say use gams or or 23 skidoo or there's no heavy kind of the caricature of people of that time, where people talk like this, see?
Yeah, no, it was a very modernish type of language that I think everyone can relate to. So
totally.
can't recommend it high enough. It's great.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad. I'm kind of glad we're going back to our movie of the week segment on Nocturnal Transmissions, because it helps. It gives me a reason to cut through that top 100 films of all time list.
oh yeah. I mean, yeah. In the comments, let us know if you actually enjoy. Let us know, like, yeah, if you guys enjoy these, movie of the week kind of things. If if you like them, just let us know that you like it. If you think it's like dragging the conversation, then screw you. This is my show. No.
And if you have any, if you're enjoying it and you have movie recommendations of your own, go ahead and throw those in the comments as well. We're always up to trying out something that we may have missed, or
yes.
Adding to that list.
Absolutely. Maybe. I don't know. If I feel like it.
Unless it's some sort of weird, like, postmodern bullshit.
Yeah. like the all female Ghostbusters.
Or Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8.
Or
it's so funny because I kept hearing reviews of that movie, and people were saying like, "Oh, the cast was so great. The cast was so great." It's like the cast is almost makes it worth going to go watch. It's like, well, that means the story is garbage.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're for a quick 5 minutes on this, well, I don't know if anyone knows. There's a comedian by the name of John Mulaney who, a number of years ago, he had a bit concerning he was talking about how he really liked Ocean's 11, and it's like, but you couldn't make that movie with if it was like an all female cast, because half the girls would go off and talk shit about the the other part of the group. I'm doing the bit injustice, but it's fucking hilarious. Maybe we should throw that in the description. I'll send you a link to that, Andy.
Okay.
But oh my god, it's so
yeah. No, I think you showed me this, or like we've heard it before.
Yeah, and but the other thing is too, and the other people that I don't necessarily trust their movie opinions, just because they're of that ilk where it's just they like anything that kind of pushes kind of that lefty culture, and this is kind of like what I've been hearing about Ocean's 8, and I have no interest, at least at this moment. I mean, look how long it took me to watch Black Panther, just because of all the bullshit that was surrounding that movie.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, that's how I felt about Solo. I actually went to go watch Solo, and I'll admit, it wasn't god awful.
That's I think that's a huge win.
Yeah, it wasn't god awful. But I found myself not caring about this movie or about what happened, because I ultimately know what happens. So like the the supposed struggle towards the end is just like, it doesn't matter, because I know Han Solo makes it out of it because he's in the original trilogy.
The thing is, because I'm one of those people, I love learning about backstory of characters that I enjoy. But what has turned me off from in this instance is I couldn't stand the flippant attitude of the people that are directing these movies or producing these movies. Is because their goal, A, they don't care about Star Wars, for one, and
not.
B, they are out there to ruin the characters that we all enjoy and love. And maybe they think that they're oh well, we don't really care if it does well. We're here to change change up the system. We're here to
Yeah,
burn
hearts
it
and
down.
minds. We're after hearts and minds.
And the thing is if this was like some new franchise that they were starting to create, go for it. Do whatever you want. That's fine. But when it comes to something that has become bigger than itself, it's become bigger than George Lucas. It's become all these things. We've talked about this so many times before. You can't just come at it with your own. You can't do that to these films. You have to treat them with care, and it's not just for the Star Wars fans, but you're also showing Star Wars to a new generation that deserves to have that deserves the same amount of care and work that went into the story of the originals, and like carrying that on to a new generation.
Yeah, but we're never gonna have that because Rian Johnson made it very clear like, what he was doing. Like he put it as a damn line in The Last Jedi. Let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Yeah, well, that's why I say like I'm probably eventually going to see Episode 9, but I refuse. Like I'm not watching Solo. I'm not.
Okay. I mean, again, it wasn't god awful. I just didn't care. I just didn't care. I was watching it. I was, I can feel my eyes droop. I stayed awake just so I can give an accurate report. Not so much because I really love this movie. I was just bored. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm only I just hope I hope you guys know that I'm just keeping my eyes open because I want to be able to speak accurately about this movie, not because I love it so much. But ultimately, I didn't care. Like, it was boring. I found myself like not caring. There was this brief moment of hope, and in one of the new characters that they introduced to. But again, they fucking shot themselves in the foot with it. And I don't necessarily want to spoil it for anyone who might still want to go watch it or whatever. Fine, that's on you. But I don't want to do that. But yeah, for me, it was just like, God damn it, you.
Yeah.
This new character that they introduced, like it could have been cool. There's an air of mystery about that, and then they go and fucking shoot themselves in the foot. And you notice that I swore and I didn't use like another word because that's how fucking pissed it made me. Because it's like I literally let out a gasp of exasperation when I saw that film. I was like watching it and then I saw it. I was like. And the person I went to go watch it with James, and like James was like knocked out, and then he heard that that sigh, and he woke up. I was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "They did it again."
Oh, is this character worse than Rose?
No, but
but like from a scale of Jar Jar Binks to Rose, it's closer to Rose.
no, I'd say it's in the middle. Like if they're like, yeah, this is. Well, I don't know. I don't like because those two characters came out in actual like legitimate episodes. This is more of like a side story.
Yeah.
But in the new scale, it'll be Jar Jar Binks at the low end. This character from Solo will be in the middle, and then Rose Tico will be on the other side. So this character like falls like right there in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it kind of sucks because I liked when they first kind of ventured into some of these side stories or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Rogue One was actually a pretty damn good film. I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I thought the twist where I mean, spoiler alert, But I think the twist, when everyone on that team dies, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's you don't see any of them in the original trilogy at all. So
Exactly.
and
So it's
you
like
knew
they
that it
serve
took a
their
great
purpose, and
sacrifice. You knew it took a great sacrifice to get those plans for the Death Star. So
exactly, yeah, and it was said as much. Like many Bothans died, to get this information to us.
yeah, and I kind of wonder if it would be if they had like kind of a like a Rogue 2 almost, because it's probably the same thing to get the plans of like there was a new Death Star coming in, but there was some new information concerning some of its weaknesses. That it's like it was that the satellite moon of Endor was what was like helping protect it while it was being constructed. So maybe if they do something like that again, that'd be kind of cool. But I'd almost also like if they kind of did a like a side story concerning maybe from like the Empire's point of view and like how that like came to be, like how where because we know of how the Sith it's kind of ruled by like the two. There's the master and the apprentice. But before that, it was kind of like the Wild West, concerning the Sith. So it'd be kind of interesting to see like how that came into play. But I don't know. Yeah, but like since and looking back on it now, now after seeing episode 8 and hearing all what I've heard about Solo, episode 7 has fallen a lot in my how I look at it, just because I know what comes next, and it's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, God, like, I know you guys are probably. I know for those of you watching, I know you're probably sick of all the Star Wars talk, but you gotta understand. You gotta understand. It's it was part of me and Robert's childhood. We grew up with it.
It's important. It's one of those things that it's modern day mythology, where it's so much bigger than just a movie because it plays so much into culture. It plays into just like it shapes so many things in the way that how we view things, and to see it denigrated the way that it has been is very upsetting.
Right, and I mean outside of a church or some religious institution, this is where a lot of people get their morality. They get their sense of duty and honor and all the good things in life. Sometimes this is like Star Wars is the only place that they get it.
Well, it's scary. It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because someone that we listen to a lot and look up to, Andrew Clavin, where he talks about like his son, he had not a great relationship with his father, but so he looked to not only the authors of these stories but the characters from the stories themselves as morality figures, and it shaped his manhood by reading these characters. And that's kind of like how we feel, like not necessarily that we don't have respect for like our parents, or that we think of them as you know something like obviously we know that they're not real, but the emotions that they present and the flaws that they have, it's like how to it helped us to deal with those same issues within ourselves, and like I said, they become these figures that we can admire and look up to and face the world using their example.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, what lessons are we to glean from the character of
Yeah,
Rey?
if you know, for an example,
Oh, bloody
for
hell!
sorry, I had I'll I was saying, for example, you look at one like Luke Skywalker, good Luke Skywalker, where he was so not like necessarily maybe optimistic isn't the right word, but he had he exemplified hope, and the world is crumbling around him, yet he had hope that he could reach the morality and goodness in those who had gone away from that. And we see that, and we see those same type of people in the world around us. And sure, we could call them evil and hate on them, or what we could do is we can have that same outlook and try to reach those people and maybe turn them to good as well. And obviously, we do that through sharing the gospel and things in our own life. But we can look to Luke Skywalker as an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, because the message of Star Wars is the message of humanity, the message of do good, gather good people around you, and stand up to evil.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately that is what you can boil Star Wars down to. I mean, contrast that to the latest trilogy. I'm just like I mean, I know it's only 2 films, but it's going to be a trilogy. But what are we? What lessons? What morality are we to glean from this latest installment? What is who is Rey? It's like Rey is a nobody who has superpowers for no good reason, just because. And don't try anything. Just because everything will be just given to you.
Yeah.
And never uh, admit that you're incomplete or that you need someone else to help you grow and to challenge you and to make you stronger. If you ask me, that's the lesson of Rey.
And that the past is awful.
Yeah, like there's not there's no point in remembering the past, because it's all filled with pain, and no one wants to feel pain, so just let go of your past and don't ever deal with it. What kind of lesson is that to give to people, give to children, because they keep vacillating back and forth. It's like, oh, this is a kid movie. This is Star Wars is a kid movie. Oh, it's like what It's like, oh, it's not a kid movie. It's this deep it's this deep philosophical thing. It's like, oh no, wait, it's for kids again. That was kind of like the initial defense when the initial backlash of the Last Jedi came out. Because people were like saying, it's like, oh, what'd you expect? It's it's a movie made for kids. But then they go like, oh, but it's it's like, oh, you're just not deep. You're just so shallow. You don't get the depth of this movie. It's like, well, if it's so deep, how are kids supposed to understand it? And if it's for kids, then there shouldn't be any depth because it's just for kids.
Exactly.
Make up your mind.
Oh boy, it was.
Yeah, as you can tell, that we could bash we could bash Last Jedi for days. We could do it every single time because it's that relevant. Because
Yeah, it's just one of those, it's something that it's bigger than us. Like I said, it's modern day mythology, and it's something that we should care about. And when you're ruining stories, ruining characters, and like I said, it's one of those things where if they're creating a new story and new characters and a new movie, do whatever you want. That's fine. That's your project. That's your that's your
canvas. There's nothing that exists on that canvas. Go do what you want, but don't take the Mona Lisa, whitewash it, and then try to do some and try to.
Oh, I was gonna say don't take like a masterpiece of art and then rub shit all over it.
Oh, well, that either. But essentially, what they're doing is taking the Mona Lisa and whitewashing it and putting on something else. Even because what they're trying to do is it's still the same size as the Mona Lisa, and if you and really underneath it there really is the Mona Lisa, but we're just gonna whitewash it and put we're just gonna put a squiggly line down down the canvas, and that it's and there's so much symbolism and so much meaning in that little tiny squiggle on that whitewashed canvas. It's like, no.
Well, it's trying to turn classical art using modern art by it's like, well, we can recreate the Mona Lisa by throwing these red sprinkles of paint at the wall of this blank canvas and see if that works.
It's hilarious that you mentioned that, because there was an artist. Why am I blanking on the name? But there was an artist who it'll come to me. Who took a poster of the Mona Lisa, and all he did was put some scribbles on it and put in an acronym of a French phrase that loosely translated to "I have a hot pussy."
Wow.
And you know how much that poster went for in auction?
No.
Millions.
Millions?
Yes.
What idiot bought that?
I don't know, some jackass. But that's essentially what what Kathleen Kennedy is doing with Star Wars.
Yeah, it's garbage.
It's garbage. And again, this whole postmodernist claptrap about how subversion is a good in itself.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's there are bad subversions. It's like, oh, here, have this piece of bread. It's like, oh, and then you take a bite out of it, and then your mouth gets cut because there's razor blades in it. Ha ha, subversion. Someone asked me or I was talking with somebody, and the subject of postmodernism came up, and I was just like, yeah, I hate it. And they're like, why? It's like, well, because this is what postmodernism is. Imagine you made a sandcastle, right, with turrets and ramparts and and it was really well designed and crafted, and you put time and effort to make it beautiful. Postmodernism is someone that comes along and is like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done it like this, and takes a finger to your sandcastle and takes away all of your work. And just and just pokes your sandcastle, telling you what you should have done or what they would have done or how this doesn't work until you're left with nothing but a pile of sand.
Yeah.
That's what postmodernism is. That's all it is. It's a tearing down, but they never offer an alternative, or they never build anything of their own.
True.
So so when it was hilarious because going back to The Last Jedi, a friend of mine is who was also a Star Wars fan. He's like yeah, I didn't mind, he told me that he didn't mind it so much, and then I just told him what I just said. I just told him postmodernism. And then he was thinking about it for a second, and then boom, his eyes got to the size of of saucers, because he realized that I was right.
Yeah, I mean, I was not quite like that, but I went into it as is this supposed to be good, right? And I was never happy with it. And I think the more that we've talked about it, the more that I've thought about it, the angrier I get.
Yeah, I got you there because when we first discussed it, I was already I hate this movie. You're like,
I wouldn't say that I liked it, but I didn't like.
No. I'm not saying that, but you're struggling. You're you're kind of trying to find the good in it, but I recognized it immediately for the garbage that it was, and during our discussions, I definitely got you there. I was like, no, dude.
It's a dumpster fire.
Truly, it is. Truly, it is. And we'll always take dumps on it.
Yeah, as often as I can, yes. I will.
Yes, and we'll always take dumps on it because it deserves to be dumped on.
Yeah.
And no one can convince me otherwise. Well, I think. Did you get all your Star Wars hatred out?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty good on that.
Right. Well, okay.
Do we have a?
What was that?
I'm trying to think. No, I'm trying to think because we're getting close on time, mm-hmm. and I want to make sure that we approach our next topic appropriately, mm-hmm. not just kind of take 5 minutes on it. But I don't know if we should.
Yeah, because our 5 minutes last 30 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, should we? It's still gonna. I think it's still gonna be news by next week. You want to just push that on hold till next week?
Yeah, I guess we could. I mean, we could talk. Okay, well, I'll just say this. Everyone knows, the whole thing about the immigration that's going on right now, and kids being separated from their parents and stuff. But I want to give Donald Trump credit in that he got the atheist, left-wing media to read the Bible.
That's true.
So I will give give the president a tip of my hat for getting the Satan worshipping left wing media to read the Bible. I mean, they're taking the passages out of context, of course, but they still got him to read the Bible.
I was shocked by that. It's and it's funny because the things that they're reading from, they don't see the irony is that it also all the stuff that they support and think that they're defending, they're not. It's in reality they're doing the opposite of what they're reading, and they're trying to show of how hypocritical the president is, but it's like they can't see their own hypocrisy in reading that.
Yeah.
And
Like,
and the thing is, in reality, we're all kind of hypocrites in a sense. Like anyone who has ideologies, like we're going to be hypocritical in some form or another. And because we're flawed people. But this is one of those things. We kind of joked about it a couple weeks ago, but Ben Shapiro talked about how Donald Trump can come out and support puppies, and within 10 minutes, the press would come out saying how puppies are horrible, and this is this is. So
I know, yeah. It's like, yeah, that all of a sudden there'll be a mass campaign to burn all the puppies.
Yeah, I mean
it sounds crazy, but just look at the evidence.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, and I encourage anyone who's listening, whatever side you fall on, and to just don't just look at one or two sources. Look at the whole picture of what's going on, and you can see how the double standards that are out there in the media, how people are taking things out of context. They're pulling out bits and pieces to fit their own narrative. But when you actually look at what's really going on, and that's and everyone is messed up in some way or another. Like Donald Trump's not perfect. None of our politicians are perfect. None of the guys that you like are perfect. So, but you have to look at the whole, what's really going on, not buying into a narrative that you see on TV, but really doing the digging for yourself into actual facts, and you'll find that you might change your mind on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
So that's kind of a little bit like what we were going to try to dive into today. Obviously, our other discussion kind of ran long, but we'll definitely get into that in future weeks. Of just keep your eyes open, keep your mind open. Don't just latch on to something that you feel is your own camp, or to like I said, just keep your mind open to things, because life life isn't black and white, and people are always trying to manipulate things, and the life is messy.
Yeah. I mean, let's just I guess I'll leave you viewers with this. People, they're using these children as shields right now. They're like, think of the children. Like, oh, how could you separate children from their parents? And this is inhumane and blah blah blah. Okay, well, what about the hundreds of thousands of abortions you perform on children?
Oh, did you hear the ridiculousness? Because Planned Parenthood came out and said how horrible it is that that the government is separating kids from their families. Mm-hmm. Well, they actually do that daily in the millions.
Exactly, yeah, in the million. Yeah, the Planned Parenthood, they are separating children from their mothers by the millions. Where it's and this isn't like an attack, but it's where's the consistency? They say they beat their chests and they clutch their pearls for these children down at the border being separated from their parents, but yet they're completely okay with ripping out a kid out of a mother.
Yeah, it's
and then and and because in New York, I forget if it's state or city, but last year or so, the number was uh, a black baby had a 50-50 chance of being born in New York. So a black baby had a 50-50 chance of either being born or aborted in New
That's
York.
insane.
That's insane. So, again, where is the consistency? If you're outraged for these children being separated from their parents at the border, then where is your outrage at millions of children being aborted? And I don't think it's an unfair comparison. I think this is apples to apples.
It's just I think you've been watching this show too, but I've been watching a little bit more, listening more to Matt Walsh recently,
Yeah.
and I think he makes some really interesting arguments about what's actually really important in the world, that's going on, and time and time again he comes back to this issue of abortion, and I'm one of those people that I'm not going to be one of those people that goes crazy and blows up an abortion clinic, or I can't be one of those people that holds your hand and is like, no, that's wrong. Obviously, I can share my beliefs, why I believe it's wrong, and but ultimately it comes to, you have to decide, and you have to figure out where you stand. And I think there's a strong majority of people who think, and I think the tide is turning towards this way, where they find it is it's nothing to be proud of. It's kind of it's a dirty thing that they don't want to talk about. But there's the small minority that celebrates it. That's like, oh, I'm glad I had an abortion. I can't wait to have another one, or whatever. I think that to me is true evil. Whereas at least in the case of because I've met people who have had it, and after everything is said and done, it's there's a regret within them. It's I feel a lot of guilt or whatever concerning this. And I've had people, I remember, God, way back when I was I think it was 10th grade, one of my health classes, we had a lady that came in and she was talking about how I had several abortions, and it was, and this was a public school, mind you. This wasn't a Christian school or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how she had 2 or 3 abortions, and she deeply, deeply regrets it because of those abortions. She can't have kids any longer, and she's like, I wanted kids so bad, and I was so short-sighted and foolish as a young person, and it ruined me for life. And and that was one of those things where back then I didn't really have a deep reaction to it at the time, but I don't know why that story stuck. I've gotten older, that I still remember that story. And I really think that that's the majority of people who get involved with that stuff, that I do feel that there's a regret, and I kind of hope that God kind of gets to those people and reaches them.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend too who got a girl pregnant, and he's gonna tell her to get an abortion, and and she, without kind of discussing it, like she did end up having an abortion. And I remember, like, one time we were hanging out, and we had a couple of drinks, and yeah, he just like broke down, and he was like so rocked with guilt, because he's like, I could have had a child, I could have, you know, uh, even though he was thinking it, and ultimately it happened without him really knowing. He's like, he was guilt ridden, and I'm sure he's still guilt ridden,
Yeah.
over it, because he was like saying like, oh, I could have had a kid, and, what, I can't believe I, ended a life, or he's like, I can't believe I was thinking of, ending a life, but ultimately, the child's life was ended, and he was just so like guilt, and he was so guilt ridden and grieved over it, and like his actual feelings came out that night, and you know, and it made me understand like the responsibility, and I'm sure like now he understands that, responsibility like 100 times over, and so they make it seem like abortion is not a big deal. It's just it's just a little procedure that you do, and you get to go about your life. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's actually killing two lives, because it's killing the life of the baby, and it's also killing the potential life you could have had with that baby.
Yeah.
And so
And it's like you said, I can't make decisions. I can't force people to make decisions. So yeah, I'm one of those people where it's like, listen, if you make that decision, that's on you. But at the same time, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna celebrate it or say that it's okay. Um, yeah, at the same time, if like you finally come to your senses and realize that, oh crap, this is something that's wrong, like I'm gonna be there to like support you on that. Uh, and I'm not gonna be there to rebuke you the entire time. It's like it goes along with like any sin. It's like, why would I'm not gonna celebrate it, but at the same time, like uh, you know I'm always gonna support, like, hey, you know what, like I've repentance is, and this will be another discussion for another time, but essentially it's a changing of the mind, and it's not just turning around and doing something different. It's a
right,
changing of the
yeah,
mind to what's right.
right. It's not. It's just not. Is it? Yeah, repentance isn't just about not doing sin anymore. It's about uh, your attitudes about sin have changed.
Exactly, and like I said, I do want to dive into that deeper on another week, because I think I think there's a lot of misnomers and misunderstandings when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, God, there's so many like different like things that we could talk about branching off of this topic, but
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, hence
I
the
could spend
nature
like
of
4 hours talking
conversations.
about this. Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah, we're coming, up on an hour. I know you got to get going soon, so I guess we could, we could shut it down right here.
All
And
right.
and as always, and without fail, we leave, another pre-tape leaves you in, with a little bit of a black pill.
Yeah, they're always so leave you in kind of thoughtful, if not like maybe anxious end.
Yeah, I
um,
mean, if this makes you, if this makes you start thinking about things that you've always held to be true, or things that you took for granted, and it starts to make you question and to reconsider, then I'll consider this a success.
True.
right? Because you know, human beings are not static creatures. We are constantly in motion. We are constantly in flux. And the person that we were yesterday is not the same person we are, the following day. And just as who you were at 7 is not the same as who you are at 17 or at 70.
Yeah.
So
And something I want to end on too is because these are what we are ending with. It's a serious topic, and I think what a lot of people misunderstand is that as Christians, yes, we have a set of beliefs that we believe in, and we while we don't celebrate the things that are or at least we shouldn't be celebrating the things that are sinful. That doesn't mean that just because you committed those things that we shun you for forever. We're not going to. I'm not going to shun someone because they committed a sin. But it's not like, oh, you did this, well, I can't talk to you anymore. That's
right.
That's not what happens. That's not real.
And that's kind of the attitude.
If someone does that, they're an asshole. That's the bottom line.
I mean, long and short of it, yes. And that's kind of the attitude that that you see a little bit on the left, because especially recently, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, endorsed Chick-fil-A. They're like Chick-fil-A was offering some sort of a coupon or deal thing, and Jack Dorsey endorsed it. And then because the left invariably eats its own. This person from CNN, Soledad O'Brien's like, oh, way to go, way to be sensitive, Jack, because it's June and it's Pride Month, and those of you not in the know, the CEO of Chick-fil-A, just the CEO does not approve of same-sex marriage. Just the CEO, his own personally held belief, not the company's philosophy, but just the CEO. And and immediately Jack Dorsey comes out with the mea culpa. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. I should have been more sensitive. It's like, why? What does the personally held beliefs of a person have to do with a chicken sandwich?
It doesn't.
And the answer to that is nothing.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just want you to know that from if you are if you've gone through these things, or even if you're on the other side of the aisle from either Andy or myself, we don't shun you if you think differently. We still we're always willing to have the conversation, and we don't. We're not going to banish you to the exterior darkness, just because you think differently.
Where there's much wailing and gnashing of teeth,
or you've done something wrong. We're a gracious group here at the Circle of Jerks podcast. We maybe not but we definitely care about our fans. We care about people who are watching. Wherever you might come from.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't think that that we say these things, we share our beliefs, but that doesn't mean that we shut down the conversation or that we hate anyone that thinks differently. That's not reality.
Indeed. All right. Well, I think that is a great place to end things. I just want to thank everyone for joining us. We talked about a great many things on this episode, but leave us a comment. Leave us a comment about your thoughts. What you thought about what we said, or even point out where you think we might have been wrong. Because we are open to be wrong. It's very doubtful that we were wrong, but we're open to that. We're open to the idea that we could have been wrong. So yeah, and don't forget to tell your friends about us. And I know what you guys might be thinking. This was not an attempt to elicit a hate comment. I want genuine hate comments, okay? I don't just
Yeah.
I want genuine hate comments. This wasn't just a ploy. Even though I think it was a really good ploy, trying to elicit a hate comment. This was not orchestrated at all.
We weren't shilling for hate comments on this one.
Precisely. But yes, don't forget to like this video. It really helps us with this. If you think that what we do is good, you pressing that like button isn't just an arbitrary thing. It help push us more to the top. This will help. This will help. This will that thumbs up will help us get in front of more eyeballs. And if you think that what we're doing is worthy of that, then so much the more that you press that thumbs up. Yes, and so that'll do it for us. Don't forget to catch Robert's show, Up by Up Down. That will be dropping a new episode of his playthrough of The Legend of Zelda this coming Thursday.
Getting close to the end.
Getting close to the end. He keeps saying that. I'm doubtful, but
we're right there. It's okay. I already got the next games lined up, so we're all ready to go.
All right, you heard it straight from the man himself. So yes, and don't forget to come back again and join us next Tuesday for another Nocturnal Transmissions. Hopefully live. Hopefully there's no scheduling conflicts. Don't forget to follow us on our various social medias: Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast, and on Twitter at PodcastCOJ. And with that being said, for myself and the homeboy Rob, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See y'all.